we've got loads of great ideas of different activities you can do in your garden in January.
Keep watching to find out ways to bring birds into your garden. How to choose potatoes and give them a head start for a bumper crop. And I'll tell you how to plant hellebores, my plant of the month.
Welcome to Step by Step Gardening with me, David Domoney, here at Blue Diamond Garden Centre's Bridgemere Show Gardens.
At this time of year, gardens may be looking bare, but it's not all doom and gloom. Amongst it are lots of winter flowering plants, like mahonias, the sweet-scented daphnes, and the pink-white flowers of the winter flowering viburnums.
But out of all the flowering and colourful plants in the midst of winter, our favourite plant of the month for January has got to be the hellebores. You get so much bang for your buck with these plants. Now there are 4 real types of hellebore, and it's best to know which type you've got because some flower slightly different times and the flower shape and also the colour is very different. So knowing the types helps you make an educated choice for your own garden. Starting over this side, this is known as the Christmas rose, Helleborus niger. Beautiful, pure white flowers that open there to a little centre, and it's marvellous because as the flower gets older it tinges slightly with pink. Evergreen foliage underneath and the flowers appear to float just above it. And if you take a look, it's quite an uncomplicated flower, a single flower as we call it, rather than doubles, you know, where you get quite tight petals around the outside. This open state of flower makes it very easy for pollinators to come in, and of course at this time of year when there isn't much flower, it's a vital source of food, maybe for some of those early honeybees waking up all hungry, or little bumblebees that are out early on. Now there are another 2 varieties of hellebore and they're quite beautiful.
The Corsican hellebore, otherwise known as Helleborus argutifolius, has lovely greeny white flowers.
And then there is Helleborus foetidus, known as the stinking hellebore. The flowers don't smell horrible, but if you crush the foliage you do get quite a pungent whiff. But both of these varieties have quite greeny white flowers but lovely emerald green foliage. Now the final group is the hybrids. This is known as the Lenten rose. Now the Lenten rose refers to the Christian time of Lent, due to the 40 days, that's usually when the plant flowers. But they've been bred in so many different ways. You can choose varieties that flower quite early on and varieties that flower later. So from real February time right the way through to May. And if you take a look, because of the interbreeding, they're not just white and green, there's masses of colour. Plus the foliage. This one here, lovely pure green. This one here has been bred to have beautiful patterns. So if you choose carefully, you can choose something like the Christmas rose that would start maybe in December, depending on the season. And then you could choose a really late hybrid one in May. So effectively, you can have almost 6 months of hellebore colour in your garden. What a special plant.
When you're choosing hellebores, look for plants with strong upright stems and lots of healthy foliage. It's good to buy in the flowering season so you can see exactly what colour and flower shape you're getting. Always check for fresh growth at the base. That's a sign that the plant is ready to thrive.
Now hellebores do naturally like a woodland area, as they grow pretty well in semi-shade. So when they're planted out, you think about it. Plants need a lot of energy when they're producing flowers and fruit. But of course, if it's in a wooded area and all the leaves have come off the trees, the extra light is there just when the plant needs it. However, you can also plant it in a container. Now, if you watched our Christmas episode, I had a hellebore as part of a mixed container. And guess what? You can plant just one plant in a container as a sort of a statement plant. And that's what I'm going to do with this one. Now, hellebores don't like to sit in wet, so well-drained soil if you're putting it into the garden that doesn't get waterlogged. If you're using a container, of course, make sure you've got good drainage hole at the bottom, and I'm filling this one up with peat-free compost. So the word hellebore, translated from Greek, really means toxic food, because the hellebore itself is in fact poisonous. But of course, because the foliage is poisonous if eaten, and a lot of animals have got a pretty well developed sixth sense on what to eat and what not to eat in a garden. For those of you who've got gardens where you're getting problems with rabbits and deer coming in and eating your plants, hellebore is a pretty good choice, because they'll leave it alone. Years ago in medieval times, they were using hellebores in medicine to treat madness, when in fact it was madness to use hellebore because it's poisonous. There we are. Single plant in a pot. Water it when it needs to. Looks fantastic. Incredibly low maintenance hellebores, and bring a touch of beauty in the garden during winter. January is a great month for spotting birds. Not so many leaves on the trees make them easier to see, and a lot of them almost members of the family. I mean, I set up a little feeding station and I see them every morning as I come down, and they cheer me right up. There is evidence that the sight of birds and their quiet distraction, plus the beautiful birdsong, I just love it, reduces anxiety and reduces stress. Now, I'm a proud ambassador of the RSPB, and they do some marvellous works on supporting birds that visit Britain, and also the resident birds that stay with us over the winter time. And in fact, at the end of January, they do a marvellous thing called the Big Garden Birdwatch, where they ask all of us to count the birds that visit the garden. Now, I do it with the kids. We get a cup of tea, biscuit, we sit there in the window watching the birds and recording, and then we send them off. And what happens is the RSPB uses that information to track the birds and monitor health. It's an incredibly positive thing. So I thought I'd take the opportunity in this January issue of Step by Step to give you a masterclass on the birds that visit your garden and how you can install habitats to help attract more. Now, robins. Got to be my favourite bird. Bright red chest. When I'm gardening outside, it's around my feet, looking for worms as I turn over the soil. They're just lovely. And the bird song is fantastic. It sings throughout the year. In fact, if there are street lights outside, it'll sing at night as well. It's not about beautiful music. Oh no, it's incredibly defensive, protecting its territory. In fact, if you have a robin in your garden, you're doing something right. The bird that brings a lot of colour into your garden is the blue tits. They are gorgeous. Blue cap and wings, yellow chest and belly, white face with a dark eye stripe. The males and females look very similar, but it is in fact the males that do most of the singing. Sparrows are a common favourite. They've got a lot of energy, these cheeky birds, but they've evolved to live near humans. And there's been a decline in sparrows due to a loss of nesting space in buildings, fewer insects for chicks, and of course our gardens are becoming very tidy and not making it good for them to access habitat and food. They need us for building, for nesting, for food, and also hedges as well. The wood pigeon is the most common kind of pigeon in the UK. Its distinctive cooing call makes it really special. Their voices are designed to carry a long distance in the daylight. And guess what? They can breed every month of the year if there's food available. They like to nest at a safe height, but they're not always the gardener's friend. They love to feed off fresh buds and young leaves. But the sound of the cooing, well, I think it's worth it. Now, starlings are small black birds with white spots, but their feathers are actually multicoloured, and when the light catches it right, you can see their iridescence. Now, they're brilliant at sound mimicking. They can sound exactly like other bird calls or even car alarms. But the most interesting thing is they can fly in murmurations. Amazing clouds of birds that swirl in formation through the sky as they come in to roost at sunset. One of the most easy birds to recognise in the garden is the blackbird. Now, the males and females look completely different. The males are the ones that are black with an orange bill and an eye ring. But the females aren't black at all. In fact, they're brown, mottled and streaked. But the male is the singer. Often the first bird to sing at dawn and the last bird to sing at dusk. And I'll tell you something, it is one of my favourite bird songs. It is beautiful. Now, if you're looking to do an activity this weekend, put up some more bird boxes, because January is a great month. What's happening is the birds in your garden, although they're not nesting yet, it'll be a couple of months before they start, they are on the lookout for suitable places to have their young. And by choosing bird boxes and installing them in your garden, they'll be there for years and years, bringing on new generations of birds that you can enjoy. Now, there are two real types of bird boxes. One's with just a small hole, and you can buy them with different variant sizes of hole depending on the type of birds that you want, so it's best to research beforehand. And the other is an open face bird box, which is specific to some of the smaller birds. Now, let's just take a look one at a time. Isn't it amazing? You just think, flying at that speed just to land and get straight in, and that's what many birds do. So this open circular part, as I said, there's wider and smaller ones depending on the birds you want to attract, is one typical bird box. Now, this particular one here is a very good bird box because you can just push the little latch down and open up and clean out the bird box at the end of the season. It helps keep a healthy habitat for the birds. This one here has even got a little instruction manual in there too. Close that, secure that. That's one type of bird box. Now, an open face bird box is better for some of the smaller birds, things like little robins here, little pied wagtails, or even the tiny wren. I love those little wrens. Now, they have an open face rather than a hole, and you situate these in amongst climbers or other branches, because the bird likes to come along, land on a branch, have a quick look round, land on another branch, have a look, and then finally hop into the space there. It's best only to put one of these up, because if you get robins, you're going to get a little bit of conflict. They like them a little bit further apart in the garden, but you can put, even spacing around your garden, several of these, which are perfect for birds to nest. Then be sure to hang your bird box in a quiet spot in your garden, out of direct sunlight and prevailing winds. Now, when you've got them into position, you don't have to put anything inside. Don't fill it with feathers, cotton wool or leaves or anything like that, because birds are very good with their own interior design. Just making sure there's plenty of material available in the garden. Seed heads, you know, a little bit of pampas grass, feathers, things like that. Birds are very resourceful, and as long as it's dry, they'll be able to collect it and create a nice little cosy habitat for the eggs and little chicks. You could add in some wool And you can buy this wool, it's been properly sterilised, which is perfect to add. Now, I'm going to use a fat ball feeder, lift off the top, insert it just in there, so in between the bars they can get easy access, like that. Put the top on to help keep it dry, and hang that up so birds can come and get what they need just to make the inside of that cosy. But the big tip is always put this out under cover, not out in the rain. It doesn't want to get all soggy and disease and things like this. So if you put it in a dry area, the birds will find it, be able to gain what they need to create a perfect habitat for their little chicks.
What's your favourite garden bird? Please tell me in the comments section. What I love most about British gardens is the way they change with the seasons. Back in late summer, the Bridgemere gardens were a riot of colour, foliage and flowers. Especially at the Chelsea Flower Show winning Cottage Garden here, that I visited in September with Sam from the gardening team. And this month, I thought I'd come back and see how the garden looked in the cold, darker months.
Doesn't seem that long ago when we were walking here in the midst of summer and everything was looking beautiful, does it, Sam?
It doesn't now, and it was a scorcher that day.
It was. People naturally think that if a garden looks like this in winter, they've done something wrong, but it's not. It's just the way nature is, isn't it?
It is, yes. So it's dying down, preparing, ready for the spring. Already some of the new shoots are coming through, so a sign that spring's on its way.
And the best thing about this garden that I like, because we've seen it in two extremes really, haven't we? We've seen it in summer where it's absolutely packed and the butterflies and the bees, and now we're here in the winter.
Should be more colour again soon.
Yeah, and I think with the herbaceous borders like this, people don't realise a lot of the energy is in the soil.
Yeah.
Rhizomes and root systems and bulbs and things like that.
There is, yes.
It's a hopeful time, isn't it?
It
When summer's
is.
got everything and it's growing, when it's winter and you see some of those early signs of growth coming up.
That's right.
It's exciting. I notice back in the day a lot of people cut all the herbaceous perennials down to the ground, but you've left quite a few of them untouched.
Yeah. So some of them are left purely for winter protection, to protect the new shoots. Like the Verbena bonarensis, that's for winter protection really. If you cut them right down to the ground, sometimes if you get a harsh winter it'll kill them off. So just cut them halfway down, it'll protect them a bit then, protect all the new shoots.
And some you've left up, I take it for the seed heads for the birds?
That's right, yes, for the wildlife to feed on, but also it can be an attractive feature through the winter.
There's beauty in everything, I suppose, with the gardening. If you were to give top 3 tips of activities to do in January, what would be your 3?
So the first one would be clean your tools, sharpen them and disinfect them, ready for the season.
When you say sterilise, how are you sterilising them?
Normally either with Jay's fluid or disinfectant, something like that.
Yeah, that stops the spread of disease.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And then have a look at your seed catalogues and look for new seeds ready for the growing season to sow in February.
That's one of my favourite jobs. Is
Yeah.
sitting down with the seed catalogues or magazines, choosing what you want to grow.
Yes.
And if you grow them from seed, you have an emotional connection with that plant.
And also, I mean, you can tidy your sheds out.
Yeah.
And just basically hygiene in the garden, raking up, sweeping up.
So Sam, what would be your New Year's garden resolution? What's your top one for this year?
Hopefully to find new varieties, unusual varieties too of plants, so as to add different features and plants and colours and everything into the garden.
Because you have a very special responsibility in this garden. It's not just about you doing something in this garden. What you do here inspires and motivates tens of thousands of visitors that come through the gate. Put a smile on their face.
Well, hopefully, yes, that's what we try to do.
Well, Sam, this is always a beautiful garden. Good luck to you for this year. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, thank you.
As well as following Sam's advice, you may be thinking of other ways to mark the new year. Perhaps a tryout with topiary or something else for your garden.
My New Year's resolution in my garden is to find more spots for the wildlife that visits. But here, are some other New Year's resolutions.
My New Year's gardening resolution will be to get out in the garden a bit more, plant some colourful plants for 2026 and enjoy being outside.
My New Year's resolution is I will be laying a new patio at home.
My New Year's resolution is to make things for the birds so that they're able to feed and the squirrels don't get to it.
Well, our New Year's resolution is to plant some trees in the garden.
My New Year's resolution is to finish the model railway that I've been building for the past 5 years in my garden. It's a childhood project trying to bring my childhood trains back to life. So it's mainly done. Some of the trains are running, but I can't get a complete circuit yet. So hopefully in 2026 I'll get a train going all the way around.
My New Year's resolution is to grow more vegetables. I've just started last year growing a little, but I want to increase it and grow some more and have a bit more success.
There are a lot of New Year's resolution ideas, but I'd like to hear about your New Year's resolution. Please put it in the comments below.
With Christmas now a fading memory, you may be beginning to miss some of the decorations. And with the tree gone, you might feel there's a big green hole in your living room. So I'm going to give you some ideas on how to bring some plants in to mark the new year.
Always nice bringing some greenery inside the home. It's best to remember that houseplants don't like direct sunlight, so work out which window gets in what light. This one here is brightly lit, but not direct sunlight. So this lovely dragon tree, Dracaena marginata, lovely red streaks on the outer side of the leaf, will fit there a treat.
Dracaena is a great beginner plant. It can tolerate low light and it can also cope with irregular watering. Although, for best results, give it bright indirect sunlight and plant it in free draining compost. If you're putting any plant on a windowsill, remember to rotate them slightly and regularly. They will have a tendency to grow towards the light and may become lopsided, but regular turning helps keep them growing upright.
Now this is the houseplant you want to keep. If you've never grown one before, or you think you always kill houseplants, now this is a Sansevieria, otherwise known as the snake plant, or some cheeky people call it the mother-in-law's tongue. Now it comes from Western Africa and it grows in really tough conditions of not much water, not much food, hostile environment. So when it's potted up nicely in a container on a windowsill, it does rather well actually. The secret is never let it sit in water. In fact, if anything, it thrives on neglect. You're better to underwater than overwater. So it's a great learning plant. It's able to bring good fortune, and it also produces oxygen at night, which makes it good as a houseplant for in your bedroom. Time for the big guns. A palm. Nothing makes a room so much more tropical than a beautiful palm. This is the Areca palm. Dipsis lutescens, lutescens as in gold.
The base of the stems here will become more golden with age.
Originates from Madagascar, prefers a little bit of diffused light, but it's a real performer inside the home. Gorgeous fronds of foliage. The secret is don't let it sit in water and it performs really well. Now if you have got a radiator close to where your houseplants are, it's the drying air that causes most of the problem. A good tip is to get hold of a saucer, put some gravel in, and then sit the plant onto the gravel. Make sure that the pot the plant is in has got drainage holes. So as you water the plant, the water goes through, and if it comes out at the other end, it goes in and around the gravel. And as the radiator warms up, it evaporates the water and creates quite a nice humid climate for the plant. A big favourite houseplant is the rubber tree. From Southeast Asia and India, it's a real glorious houseplant. The secret is to wipe over the leaves if there's a build-up of dust. And see the midrib there Always hold your hand like that to support the midrib and then wipe it over. Water little and often, but it doesn't like a change in temperature. Don't put this near the front door or the back door, so when it opens during the winter it gets icy blasts. If it's got a constant temperature, it does really well. And now, although I'm putting this in the corner of the fireplace, we don't often light the wood burner there, so it's really just for effect. But if I was to light it, obviously I'll be moving them out of the way. And you buy them in all sorts of sizes. It's a really nice starting house plant as well. You can put that just on the windowsill, and they're not just in green. You can get some white and green ones, and look at this one here, tinges of pink as well. And you can move it almost to create a little trio, and that little group just looks lovely. Well, from the tropical rainforests of Central America, we have some people call the cheese plant, Monstera. So here we got holes just here that looks like Swiss cheese. That's where it gets the name cheese plant. But it's also pretty good because it helps with the weight of the rain coming down. It's not damaging the leaves. Some of the droplets are going through the holes. But of course the holes are also pretty good for letting light through to lower leaves. And it's a climber as well. If you look deep in, you see these. These are aerial roots where the plant grabs itself on the side of trees to grow in the rainforest. Here it's attached to a moss pole. It's a great oxygen giver, this plant, pumping out fresh oxygen into the room during the day, and it really gives a big visual effect.
Blue ferns are great for purifying the air, and if cared for, unlike Christmas trees, they don't shed their leaves. Keep the root ball constantly moist.
And finally, a calathea. This one doesn't have a very nice common name. They call it the rattlesnake plant because you're the patination of the leaf, and of course the shape. It's long, thin, sword-like leaves. Isn't it gorgeous? And here's the magic of this plant you don't often see, is the underside of the leaves are beautifully burgundy. Look at that. Colour on one side and colour on the top. Now this plant, probably like many of the house plants, prefer natural rainwater rather than tap water. Tap water contains chlorine and fluorides, mainly for us humans, that don't always fit well with plants. So if you can get purer water from the skies, collecting them in containers outside of the house to water your house plants, all the better. But the big secret of caring for houseplants is not to let them sit in water. So sometimes the pot covers here, if you water, you end up filling some of the base of the pot with water, and therefore the compost sits in it. And if the compost sits in it through capillary action or a wick action, like putting the corner of tissue paper in water, it draws it up, it saturates and rots them. It's usually best to take them out of the pot cover into the sink with a plug, put a couple of inches of water, leave it for about half an hour to suck up the water it needs, then pull the plug out, let it drain, and put it back into position. So as long as you're not letting it sit in water, the plants will thrive. And of course, it's usually best to give them a little misting as well. You can do that using a little hand mister. And that's really the secret of houseplants. Well, there you have it. That's my transformation complete.
Now, if you're planning to grow your own vegetables, there are some things that you can do in this month to get ahead, especially with one of my favourite crops, the humble spud potatoes. Seed potatoes are in store, and you can get ahead with potatoes through a process of chitting. Chitting them, or getting them off to a good start by helping them start to sprout, is a way of maximising January and February in helping the potatoes advance. Now, first of all, always buy proper seed potatoes from a garden centre rather than buying the spuds that are in the supermarket. Because the spuds are in the supermarket, they have been bred for eating And in some cases, they've been inhibited in producing shoots to keep them fresher in the supermarkets for longer. Whereas spuds that you buy as seed potatoes have been particularly bred to be disease resistant and produce bumper crops. And you get a whole selection. And take your time to enjoy shopping for potatoes. You might prefer chips to mash, to roasties, to new potatoes, to even baked jacket. And some potatoes make better flavours than others, depending on how you cook them. And also, why go to the supermarkets and buy spuds when you could choose more rarer varieties with slightly different flavourings? So take a moment to choose something different to enjoy in your own garden. Now, there are 3 real types, and it really depends on when they're harvested and at what state of maturity. So let me just talk you through. This one here is the first early. Now, this is a potato that you can harvest pretty early on. It's mainly new potatoes that you can take out of the ground with these. The second one is second earlies. Now, these are sort of like a little bit later from the first, and again, slightly bigger, but still a soft skin on the outside. Now, these ones here are main crop that you leave in the ground a lot longer, and that's why you get the bigger spuds and the slightly harder skin on the outside. So if you plant earlies, second earlies and main crop, you've got a succession of potatoes that you can harvest in your own garden. However, we chit them all at the same time. Now, the word chit is the way we head start the seed potatoes by encouraging them to produce shoots before we even put them in the ground. Now, for that, you need a very technical bit of equipment, an egg box. They work particularly well to start saving them up if you're thinking of growing your own potatoes. Now, when you open the packet, this is pretty much what you get from a seed potato packet. There is a right way up of the potato. They've got eyes, and as you can see here, actually you can see the little shoots. Generally speaking, the potato will let you know. Smooth on the one side, little spike shoots at the top. So I just nestle it into the egg box and go through all your potatoes, smooth side down, little shoot sides up, and fill your egg box with your spuds. Generally speaking, you always get more potatoes than you need in a seed potato box. But if you want to maximize your potatoes, occasionally you'll get a really big one. You can cut this in half. Effectively, make sure you cut it so you've got eyes on one half of the potato and eyes on the other half of the potato if you want to have extra seed potatoes to put into the ground once they've chitted. And that's really it. Now, it benefits from light, but not necessarily heat. So if you put it on the windowsill of your shed or your garage or your porch where there isn't too much heat, but there's light, and make sure you're in a frost-free location. What happens over the next 4 to 6 weeks? You see these little shoots start to sprout. As they're growing, sometimes they lean towards the light. You can just move the box around a little bit to keep them going upright. And when they're ready, you can plant them out into the ground. And I'm going to cover all of that in a future episode of Step by Step. Watch the latest episode of Step by Step Gardening from Blue Diamond's Bridgemere Show Gardens with David Domoney for a chance to win one of 5 Gourmet Gardener patio collections to harvest all season long, courtesy of Taylor's Bulbs, and a pack of 3 Hacksnick's potato patio planters. Watch, add a comment to the video and subscribe to the Blue Diamond Garden Centre's channel and you're in the draw. Open to UK residents only, closes the 29th of January 2026 at 11:59 p.m. Terms and conditions apply.
Although we are in the depths of winter, spring is just round the corner. And things like daffodils, hyacinths, crocuses and the like will all be coming to life. And many of the flowers are in fact from bulbs. Now normally we plant those bulbs in dry form during the autumn time, and in fact in our October episode 4 of Step by Step Gardening, there's a great masterclass, so if you fancy it, go back and take a look. But if by chance you haven't got round to planting bulbs in your garden and don't want to miss out on the beautiful spring colour, no worry. January is a great time to pick them up as potted bulbs. Now these are bulbs that have been grown in nurseries, in compost. We call it forcing, where the plant has been forced to start to grow up, and they do that by putting straw on the top to make the bulb think that it's still underground. And they are ideal to buy now to plant up, not only in the ground, but also if you've got tubs, containers, window boxes, hanging baskets, you can take them out of the pot and plant them in. And that way you're going to get some spring colour. Now these are gorgeous. These are little tete-a-tete. Have a look. That's what they look like on the packaging there. Now tete-a-tete means head-to-head in French, but it also means a private conversation. You know, when you have a little private tete-a-tete. It's really because the bulb produces many different flowers from one bulb, and they all face in different directions, and it looks as if the flowers are having a little sneaky conversation. They're just so beautiful. You can buy them in small pots to add into your own displays, or multiply planted in a bowl or container. And listen, you don't have to do anything. You can just put that outside your back door or your front door. It will grow in this container and give you spectacular flower without you having to do anything. But the secret with all bulbs is to think of a little bulb underneath the ground as a battery. So whilst it's flowering and growing, you feed it with a little bit of liquid feed and water it, and you recharge the bulb underneath the soil. When it all dies down eventually, as it starts to come into late spring, early summer, what I do is I dry them out, and then when it comes to autumn, plant them in the ground, and these tete-a-tete will come in, year out. It's not an individual purchase. Oh no, bulbs are an investment in the garden, certainly daffodils. And it doesn't just finish with daffodils, there's also there's a lovely plant. This is a little grape hyacinth. In fact, I have a whole load of these growing in my garden just out at the back door, and I have them in containers as well. This is what they look like. Little tiny blue flowers there. Bees love them. Called a grape hyacinth because it's got a slight fragrance of grape juice, and it's a lovely plant for containers and baskets. And this here, it's a little baby crocus. It's a gorgeous little primrose colour one here called Cream Beauty.
If you're planting potted bulbs outside in the garden, ensure the sprouted leaves remain mostly above the soil surface.
Not just about outside either. Indoors you can have flowering bulbs too. You can buy them at this time of year in garden centres. This is a little narcissus called a paperweight, and the fragrance is heavenly. And of course hyacinths. And then this is favoured by the perfume brands all over the world. You may look out your window, it's January, it's dark outside, but with these on the windowsill inside, not only the visual beauty, but the fragrance as well, uplifts the heart and nourishes the soul. And again, if you feed and water these, you can dry them when they've died back to be able to plant it out again when it comes to autumn. Spring bulbs really add something to the garden, the pots and containers that you have, but you can also have colour inside. If you missed out planting in autumn, January is the right month to catch up. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Our February episode is coming up shortly, and if you'd like us to cover anything in that, please put it in the comments. And give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to this channel for more great content. Enjoy your garden.